Hello and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to today's Postgrad webinar service. You'll see from today's screen that we're joined by the University of Buckingham to talk about their postgraduate law opportunities to begin with, and then obviously any wider opportunities that might follow on from that, whether it be on campus research or anything else like that. So it's bound to be an intriguing session. If you have any questions, anything whatsoever that you want to share or you want to say hi and where you're from, please use the chat facility. It'd be nice to hear from you. And obviously we've got our Q&A facility as well. I need to emphasize that it needs to be in the Q&A box for us to kind of answer your questions at the end, because there will be a dedicated 10-15 minutes where we will be looking through that box to make sure that we haven't missed anything and all the questions are answered. Today's date is 2nd of July. And if you are watching on demand, which I appreciate most of you will do, please bear that in mind. If you see anything that's date sensitive, if you are watching later on in 2026, it might be that some of the dates of the programs that you might see might be for 2027 and so on, but I can't imagine too much would change. I'm joined today by Jessica and Kerry from the one's a LLM program director, and the other is director of postgraduate research programs. And we've also got Rosie in the background who's going to be answering questions, who's within the admissions team. I'd like to hand you over to Jessica right now. She'll be taking you through the next 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll be back for the Q&A. Jessica, over to you.
Very much, Gareth, and a big hello to everyone online or watching this back later on. As Gareth explained, I'm the LLM Programs Director at the University of Buckingham. So I'm one of the lecturers at the law school, and I also oversee all of our taught postgraduate programs. And today I'll be taking you through our 4 postgraduate taught programs. So we have a postgraduate diploma and an LLM in international and commercial law. We also have an exciting LLM with SQE preparation, which we run in collaboration with Barbary, that some of you may have heard of. And we also run in collaboration with our Center for Intelligence and Security Studies. We run an LLM in international law, security, and diplomacy. So I will be taking you through the details of these programs today, answering any of your questions. But before we move on to that, let me introduce myself a little bit, because I think it's always nice to know who it is that's speaking to you. So my own background, before joining the University of Buckingham, I was working as a solicitor in London. So I qualified as a solicitor with DAC Beechcroft, which is an international law firm in London, and I specialised in commercial dispute resolution. I also had the wonderful opportunity of working for some years at a Spanish law firm in Barcelona. Now that I'm back in academia, my research focuses on courts, dispute resolution, judicial independence, and accountability. And at the law school, I have the pleasure of teaching legal skills mainly, and also I teach quite heavily on the SQE program, so helping students develop their professional competencies as solicitors. So in my role teaching legal skills, I get to do all of the fun stuff. So I teach negotiation, we do negotiation simulations, I teach advocacy, and that's my focus at the law school. So before we move on to introducing the university and our programs to you, I'm just going to let Kerry introduce herself as well. Over to you, Kerry.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today. So my name is Dr. Kerry Purcell, and I have worked for the university since 2017. So let's talk a little bit about my journey. I went to law school, like most law students, with the idea of going into practice. And a very wise professor actually approached me in my second year and said to me, have you thought about research? And I thought to myself, research? Really? Me? So I thought on it for a while, and I chose some research-based modules in my final year, such as a dissertation. And I soon realized that I did actually really enjoy it. So I decided then to go and do a taught LLM, just like the kind of LLMs that Jessica is going to take you through. And to be honest, that was my favorite part of my education, was my LLM year. I fell in love with the research. I fell in love with the diverse communities, the different people I was speaking to, the different cultures that I came across. And I applied and was very successful to receive a scholarship to do my PhD. So basically, I started university and I never left, and I'm still here now. So what do I do here at the University of Buckingham? So let's start off at the undergraduate level. At undergraduate level, I teach across a suite of modules such as contract law, company law, tortious law, of which most of you on this call will have studied. And then on the LLM, I teach across a couple of modules, but predominantly focus on modules specializing in corporate law and corporate insolvency. As the slide says, I'm also the director for postgraduate programs, and the two programs I'm going to be focusing on today are the LLM by research and, of course, the PhD in law. So pass you back to Jess there.
Thank you, Kerry. So before we move on, I'm just going to set out a bit of a roadmap so that you know what to expect for the remainder of this webinar. Kerry's going to start off by explaining or taking you through a few things about the University of Buckingham. So we're quite a unique university. And there's lots of benefits to studying at the University of Buckingham. So Kerry's going to cover some of that for you today. And what I hope that you take away from that is that the university really is a very supportive environment, but at the same time, it pushes you and really is an intellectually ambitious environment as well. So supportive, but intellectually ambitious and very career focused. I'm then going to take you through some of all of our different postgraduate taught programs, which you can see there on the screen. And in particular, I'm going to sort of explain to you what sort of careers these different LLMs are suited to you, to help you sort of pick which option might be best for you. In terms of the LLM with SQE prep that some of you may be interested in, my focus really is on helping you to understand what distinguishes our LLM with SQE from others in the market, and to explain how we work in partnership with Barbary. I'm also very excited to share the LLM International Law, Security and Diplomacy, which is a very exciting interdisciplinary program. Kerry's then going to take you through the details. So I can see there's already some questions in the chat, which I've been trying to answer about that. So she's going to take you through all the details about the LLM by research and the PhD in law as well, before handing back to me. And I'm then going to take you through some of the extracurricular activities and options which are open to all of our students on all of our postgraduate programs. So we have a dedicated clinical legal education manager at our law school, which does a fantastic job of arranging a really wide variety of opportunities for our students to engage with the legal profession during their studies. So I will take you through some of those. We also have a fantastic extracurricular legal skills programs, which you can get involved in if you want. And in particular for those on the SQE program, but also for students on any of the other programs, this is the opportunity to develop and get, small group and individual coaching in things like negotiation, advocacy, client interviewing, and really have a lot of fun in the process. To wrap up, We will, of course, cover the important information which you will want to know about fees, the scholarships and discounts that we have available, and how to apply. And of course, we'd be very happy to answer any of your questions going forward as well. So on that note, I'm going to hand over back to Kerry, who's going to explain a little bit more about the University of Buckingham.
Thank you, Jess. So it's wonderful to see so many prospective students, potentially parents on the line, partners maybe, and future researchers with us here today. So when people visit the University of Buckingham for the first time, they often tell us that there's something different about this place. There's a warmth, a sense of community, and an atmosphere that feels immediately personal to us. And that is because the University of Buckingham is different. At many other universities, students can become just another face in a very large crowd. They sit in lecture theatres with hundreds of other students, spending years of their life without really getting to know their lecturers or feeling part of the university community. At Buckingham, though, we do this differently. Here you're known by your name. Your lecturers actually know who you are. And the people that are supervising your research and your interests understand your ambitions and where you want to go in life. And I think this personal approach is the gold standard. And I think it's definitely something that Buckingham does very, very well. And it's what makes it such a special place to study. So if you look at the slide in front of you, you're going to see 3 pillars. I'm going to begin with the very first pillar, which is personalised education and supervision. One of our greatest strengths is actually our small size. Because we are a smaller university, we can offer something that a lot of institutions cannot, which is genuine individual attention. As an undergraduate or as a postgraduate student, you're not sitting at the back of one of our lecture theatres wondering if actually anyone notices whether you're here or not. I can tell you in Buckingham, we notice. We notice if you're there and we notice if you're not, because we care as lecturers. We care about our students. You'll notice that our lecturers are extremely approachable and they're very accessible. Again, something that can't always be offered in larger institutions. Our doors are always open and we really do love to promote questions, debate, discussion. We love to talk to our students. Now, at Buckingham, learning isn't just a one-way process where information is just simply delivered to you. It's a conversation between staff and students. You are encouraged to challenge ideas, ask very difficult questions, and develop your own independent thought. For our research students, this is a personalized approach that becomes even more significant. A PhD can be, and I'm sure Jess and anybody on this call who's ever attempted a PhD can agree with me when I say it can be a very lonely journey. You're taking extremely difficult questions and often problems that haven't been fully answered before and trying to solve these unanswered questions. Now, on a PhD journey, there will be moments of excitement, but I can also tell you there are going to be moments of frustration, moments of self-doubt. And several times I asked myself, will I actually ever reach the end of this? And at Buckingham, because of our personalized approach, we understand the journey. We've been through it ourselves, obviously, but we understand what you are going through. And that's why here at Buckingham, we pride ourselves in providing that close, supportive supervision. So our research students will often have regular one-to-one meetings and supportive supervision. Our taught students will have regular access to their lecturers and their personal tutor. Your supervisors and your teachers don't simply just supervise your research and oversee your teaching. We mentor you. We support you on your journey. We aim to challenge you intellectually and help you grow as an independent scholar. And we are actually invested in your success because once you graduate here from the University of Buckingham, you carry our name forward. So we are for lifelong invested in you. The second pillar, strong community. Now, universities can be very intimidating places. I remember my first semester at university. It was huge. I never knew where I was going. Everything just felt so alien to me. But that's not how the University of Buckingham operates. We are a community. Now, many students attending universities, potentially this is the first time they've been away from home. Our international students are arriving from a different country and entering new cultural experiences. Now, many of our research students and potentially LLM students are leaving established careers to pursue something new that they're passionate about. So starting something new can be very daunting, but what we consistently hear from our students is that I felt at home at Buckingham and that there's a genuine sense of belonging within the university community. We often see our students supporting each other. There isn't that rivalry here. Our staff support our students because, as I said, once you graduate from the University of Buckingham, we have a lifelong connection with you, and you will have a lifelong connection with us. There are friendships that are formed here that last a lifetime. People have met their future wives and husbands here. People have made friends that have lasted a lifetime. Now, the relationship between staff and student, especially our research students, and of course, I'm going to talk about that later, but we celebrate you. We celebrate your first publication. We celebrate your annual review. We celebrate you when you pass your Viva because, as I said, your achievements matter to us. We have that relationship. For our taught students, we celebrate every coursework you pass, every module that you pass. We celebrate your achievements further than just purely your education.
The University of Buckingham, the location is actually really nice. We have a beautiful campus and we're located in a small market town, which is really peaceful, really good for studying. The university buildings, so the facilities are very nice. We are located about halfway between Oxford and Cambridge. So both Oxford and Cambridge are an easy day trip, and we actually sort of take our students to visit the courts there sometimes. And then our closest sort of railway links straight into London are Milton Keynes and Bicester. So it's quite easy to go down to London as well. And again, some the students will organise trips to the courts and to law firms or competitions and talks in London as well. So it's a lovely location.
And I do really want to emphasise that the sense of community extends far beyond that of just the classroom. What we have built here at the university is a thriving international community in which students and staff work collaboratively. So let's jump to our final pillar, which is preparing future leaders. So a postgraduate law degree is more than just about studying statutes, cases. It's about learning how to think on a separate level. It's about analyzing, how to persuade, how to solve complex problems. And those skills are highly valuable to employers. Now, of course, many of our graduates do go on to become solicitors, barristers, judges, etc. But also, many of our graduates pursue careers in government policy, international organizations, business, finance, and of course, academia. So legal education opens a lot of doors for you. And I was listening to a podcast recently that actually had law as the second most employable degree in terms of the numerous avenues that you could take your law degree. Now, at Buckingham, we want to ensure that our students are not just simply academically excellent, okay? What we want is them to be academically excellent, but equipped to succeed in the real world. And that's why we provide a number of opportunities here at the University of Buckingham. So, of course, we have advocacy opportunities and employability development. For our research students, there are opportunities to publish, present at conferences, and engage in real-world academia. We are very proud of the fact that as a small institution, we do actually undertake a significant amount of research as staff, and we address issues, real-world issues, that genuinely matter to the future of our world. Our academics and doctoral students work on topics that influence policy. They contribute to public debate. We seek solutions to some of society's biggest challenges. But research is not conducted in isolation here. Perfect example would be I'm editing a book now that Dr. Walsh, Jessica, who's on the call, has contributed a chapter to. So we do not work in isolation. We work together as a team. And this has real world impact. So for those considering a PhD, this is an incredibly exciting environment, which I welcome you to come and join. But we'll talk more about that a bit later. So I'm going to give you back to Jess, but I'm happy to work with you and look forward to delivering more slides.
Thank you, Kerry. So I'm really glad that you emphasize the community here at Buckingham, because I'm going to be speaking more about that, because it really is very important to the way that we've structured our degrees, the way that we teach. And it was important to me that this comes across in this session. So I'm going to take you through, you can see here on the screen, we have 4 different taught postgraduate programs. But before I delve into that, I'm going to sort of highlight some of the common features across all of these programs. And you can see here that in the title, I've got the word community, join our postgraduate community. Now, what we actually do is that we try to make sure to get students in all 4 of these programs together in the classroom as much as possible, so that we really have this sense of community, and you get the opportunity to mix with people who have a really broad range of experience, career ambitions, and expertise, which makes for a really interesting debate, classroom debate, because you've got people coming at it from different perspectives. So that's very important to us. Our students, the students on all 4 programs, they come together to study advanced legal research methods, to prepare for their dissertation, and also in specialist modules, depending on the specializations you choose, you opt for, but things such as corporate law, banking law, or financial services. So I see that there's a question in the chat, a really good question, a couple of really good questions. One about the level of analysis that is required at level 7. And of course, that's something common to all of our degrees. So it's a good point to cover that here. What is required at level 7, and what we pride ourselves in developing in our students, is the ability to engage with advanced scholarship. So at level 7, there is the need to do quite a bit of independent reading, and then to come together in the classroom and to really critically engage with that. And because we teach, as Kerry said, we teach in very small group and very interactive sessions, we really have the perfect forum to help you develop those critical analysis skills. And because it's a small classroom, there is no hiding, not just because the lecturers care, but also because we expect everyone to participate. They're small groups, so everyone gets the opportunity to develop those critical analysis skills. But it goes beyond that. So at level 7, you are expected to start to form, in essence, your own opinion. And what we train students to do is not just to regurgitate what they have read, obviously, but to really form persuasive arguments, and more nuanced arguments than you would have been used to developing at undergraduate level, and to be able to do so even if you don't have quite all of the information available. So it's sort of developing that sound professional judgment. The other thing which is expected at level 7 is that you demonstrate independence, that you develop the ability to assess for yourself the strength of your arguments, and that is something that we do through the way that we teach. So I hope that that's answered that question. There is a question about different specializations and modules, which I will get to in a moment as well. So all 4 of our LLM and postgraduate diplomas, all 4 of these programs here on the screen have a September and a January start date. So you can choose to start either in September or in January. The 3 LLM programs all include a dissertation, which is a really important piece in being able to develop these advanced legal research and analysis skills required at level 7. And everyone on these programs, as I've said before, is entitled to engage with our clinical legal education and legal skills programs. So our LLMs are different lengths. So our LLM with integrated SQE prep and our LLM in international law, security and diplomacy are both 1-year programs. They cover a lot of ground, and it's important that we have the full 12 months with you to really cover everything that we need to cover with you in that time. Our LLM and our postgraduate diploma in international and commercial law are more condensed. So let's take the LLM in international and commercial law. There are 2 options here. You can choose to start in September, which is a bit of a gentler start, and to take the whole 12 months to complete your LLM. Or if you want a more sort of condensed degree, which is a bit more intensive, you can start in January and still finish by the end of September. So that's a 9-month program. On that program, the last summer is dedicated to writing up your dissertation. So you will have finished taught classes by around this time of year, so around end of May, beginning of June. The postgraduate diploma in international and commercial law is the same as our LLM, minus the dissertation. So this is really for people who are not looking to necessarily develop those research skills or have the opportunity to write a dissertation, but really who just want to gain expertise in a particular area. And you can come to us if you start in January for 6 months, or if you want to start in September to have 9 months to do that, and you can gain a postgraduate diploma in an area of your choice. Now, on the postgraduate diploma, the LLM in international and commercial law and the LLM with integrated SQE preparation, you can choose from a wide range of elective modules. And depending on which elective modules you choose, you can actually specialize in the areas that I've got here on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So we have specializations available in corporate law, in public international law, in banking and financial services, and in the regulation of financial crime. And those specializations will appear on your certificate when you graduate. So if we take the postgraduate diploma and the LLM in international and commercial law, you can see on the right-hand side, I've listed some of our most popular elective modules, which students are picking every year. We are always developing our elective options, keeping up with interest from students and feedback from students. So do keep an eye on our website for more electives, which will be added to this. But these are sort of the core subjects which the students really love and which we always run. So as you can see, we've got a very popular artificial intelligence in the law module, where we've got some lecturers coming in from our School of Computing to take some of those sessions as well. It's an interesting collaboration there. We have banking and fintech, which is led by the Dean of the law school, who is a specialist in this area. We've got corporate law and corporate insolvency, which is run by Kerry, who's on the call. And then you can see a range of really quite a broad range of other subjects, depending on what you're interested in, ranging from financial crime and money laundering to intellectual property to law of war. So we cover a broad range of law, and you are absolutely free on both of these programs to put together your program to suit your interests. So you have 120 credits worth of elective modules. The elective modules are 15 and 30 credits, and you can put your program together to suit your interests. Now, the way that we assess these programs is through coursework. So it's usually a combination of written research pieces that you need to complete, and oral presentations. And it's really important to us that you develop both written and oral communication skills, which are so necessary if you want to go into a career in any type of career in law. And it doesn't matter if you want to go into foreign policy or if you want to go into to be a solicitor in commercial practice, you will need both oral and written communication skills. So that is how we test on this program. There are no written exams. Students are always very pleased to hear that. Now, moving on to our LLM in International Law, Security and Diplomacy. This is a really exciting, fairly new collaboration with the University of Buckingham's Centre for Security and Intelligence Studies. You can please do, if you're interested in this area, please do look them up online. They're a fantastic centre which have leading expertise in this field of security intelligence studies. And of course, here in Buckingham, we're located quite close to Milton Keynes, where you've got some really interesting places that you can visit in that regard. So on this program, this is the only program where you don't have, where you don't have any elective modules. So the modules which you will be studying if you sign up for this program are listed on the right-hand side. And they are a combination of international law modules, which are taught by experts in their field at the law school, and intelligence and security modules, which are taught by our experts, leading experts at the Centre for Security and Intelligence Studies. Because it's taught all by experts, it's all research-led teaching. They will really push your thinking when it comes to these subjects. And it really is a very unique course because it allows you to look at very complex and challenging and fast-moving global security challenges from that range of perspectives, from the law perspective, from the security perspective, from the intelligence perspective. So it's a really exciting program. In addition to that, because we've got this small group teaching, and as Kerry said, we focus a lot on making you practice ready in our courses. The way that we teach will also develop your communication and collaborative skills. So there is really the requirement to engage in the classroom, and there will be a lot of team projects, simulated negotiations, and of course these communication and collaborative skills are really necessary if you are thinking about a career in international organizations, foreign policy, government ministries, civil service. All of those roles will require you to be able to work very effectively, persuasively together with other people. So that's our exciting collaboration there. Moving on then to the final LLM that I want to speak to you about, and that's the LLM with integrated SQE preparation. So those of you who are interested in SQE will know that the pathway which I've got outlined here on the screen to qualify as a solicitor. So in order to qualify as a solicitor, you need a degree, and I know there was a question in the chat. It doesn't necessarily need to be a law degree. It can be any degree. And then you need to sit SQE 1, part 1 of the solicitor's qualifying examination, and part 2, SQE 2 of the solicitor's qualifying examination, and gain 2 years of qualifying work experience, as well as, of course, some basic character and suitability checks at the end. And then you are a fully qualified solicitor under this new system. Now, the reason I've put this up here is because to explain why the program that we offer focuses mainly on preparing you for SQE 1 and how this is perhaps different to some programs that you will see on offer that cover both SQE 1 and SQE 2, and may even offer some qualifying work experience. So when we were designing this program, we had to think very carefully about what our aims are. Now, we could have quite easily just designed a program where the only thing that we're doing in the program really is preparing you for exams. So we could have designed the program to be entirely focused on preparing you for SQE 1, then preparing you for SQE 2, maybe stick in a little bit of qualifying work experience or a subject specialization at the end. However, looking at that model, we thought to ourselves, well, how likely is it, if you cram everything into 1 year, how likely is it that you are then going to walk straight into the perfect job and qualify really quickly? There are some people who may have training contracts lined up, but for the majority of people, that's really highly unlikely. And it usually takes quite a bit longer to qualify. And the other question is, how likely is it that students are actually going to feel prepared to sit and pass both SQE 1 and SQE 2 in 1 year? Now, to put this into perspective, the SQE tests you at the level expected of a day 1 fully qualified solicitor. So these are very difficult exams. So what we have done at the law school instead is we have decided to take a more what we think is a more realistic approach, where we focus on preparing you for SQE 1, and we have partnered with Barbary, and you have access to Barbary's online SQ1 preparation program if you are a student on our LLM. And you have a whole 40 weeks, which runs in parallel to all the work you're doing with us on the LLM, on that Barbary platform, to feel really confident to take SQE1 at the end of our program. Now, having said that, we do also cover lots of the skills which are examined at SQE2, but we don't put our students in for an exam as part of the program. So you will develop a lot of the skills for SQE2, because the skills which are tested at SQE2, if you think about it, there are research skills, legal analysis skills, negotiation, advocacy. These are all things that we do as part of our LLM, and you will naturally develop these skills as part of our LLM. But by focusing in terms of exams just on the SQE1 first, there is not that huge pressure on you to pass both exams at once. So it's sort of a more holistic professional development. And our recommendation is, after you do our program, you go out and do some qualifying work experience before you try to sit SQE2, and that work experience will further reinforce those skills which you've already started to learn with us, and you will then be in a very, very good place to easily pass the practical skills test, the SQE2, after your qualifying work experience. So our course is designed, because we've made that choice, it means that we can focus our program not just on exam prep, not just on teaching you how to tick the right box in the exam, but to make sure that you feel really confident and ready to enter the legal profession, to stand apart from others and to really thrive as solicitors. We can take more time to really look at your development as a professional from a very holistic manner. So what is important to us and what we focus on is that you will feel confident. You feel confident in your knowledge and skills, and our elective modules and our research modules will mean that you're not only doing learning the bits that you have to learn for SQE1, but you're going to delve deeper into these subjects and really feel very confident in your knowledge. We also have, in addition to being online on Barbary's platform, we have weekly one-to-one coaching, where you will sit down with a lecturer at the University of Buckingham and discuss your progress, both on the Barbary platform and your preparation for SQE1, but more broadly than that, the development of your professional competencies. And in order to do this, you will be required to do a self-reflection on a weekly basis, drawing on everything that you're doing in all of your subjects in order to reflect on the development of yourself as a professional. So you get a lot of support, lots of breadth and depth in your legal knowledge. And of course, with our elective modules, you also get this global perspective on international legal issues. So I hope that that's given you a sort of a good understanding as to where we're coming from on our LLM. So just to recap some of the detail on that, the way that it breaks down is that you do 60 credits of SQE preparation, 60 credits dissertation, and 60 credits of electives, but you've got someone who you meet on a weekly basis. You're doing all three things in parallel, and you are reflecting on how this as a whole is developing all of your professional competencies. So the last thing I want to say on this, before I hand back over to Kerry to discuss the research degrees, is how we examine you on this this program. Now, the way that we examine you and the way that we measure your success is very much in keeping with this holistic approach to professional development. So We don't have written exams. Again, we do not assess you through a mock SQE examination. We do let you do a mock or many mocks throughout the year, but those don't count towards your grade for the LLM. Those are for your development. The way that we measure your success and examine you is by how engaged you are with the learning process. So you need to track your development and submit it at the end as a long reflective journal as to your progress. We assess that. In our research assignments, we assess whether you have been able to develop your own persuasive and authoritative voice on the matters that you have been studying. And we assess the quality of your engagement with Barbari's course, because we know that what is important is that you are really engaged with that material deeply, and that will be what will ensure your success, not only at SQE1, but in your careers listers moving forward as well. So on that note, I will hand back over to Kerry, who's going to speak just a little bit more about their research programs.
Thank you, Jess. So I'm just going to spend a few moments talking about our postgraduate research programs here at the University of Buckingham and why they are perfect for the next step in your academic and professional journey. So as my tagline on the slide states, that advance knowledge, influence, change, and become an expert. I think this captures perfectly what a research degree is all about. So postgraduate research isn't just another qualification, it's an opportunity for you to become a specialist in the area that you are passionate about, and to challenge existing schools of thought, and of course to make that all-important original contribution to knowledge. Now, at the University of Buckingham, we have two pathways into research. First of all, we begin with our LLM by research and then our PhD in law. So I'm going to begin with the LLM by research. So this program is ideal for those that have a specific area of law that fascinates them, and they want to explore that area of law in depth. So for instance, commercial law. Unlike any other taught masters, we have an LLM by research. And this allows you to undertake independent research projects under the guidance of a specialist supervisor. Now, this program, as I've stated on the slide, can be completed in 1 year as a full-time student or as 2 years as a part-time student. Now, many students take this option and specialize in their LLM by picking a particular research area that they're interested in, and they specialize in it. We often accept applications in international law, human rights, commercial law, artificial intelligence and technology, environmental law, medical law and ethics, and corporate governance and corporate insolvency. But there are a wide range of specialisms here in the law school, and we will be flexible. And we allow you the freedom to pursue the topic that genuinely interests you. So obviously the beauty in this is it's extremely flexible. But the LLM by research helps you develop skills that are incredibly valuable, such as advanced research skills, critical analysis, independent thought, problem solving, written and oral communication. And these are skills that our employers are feeding back to the university, saying that they are looking out for from their graduates. So career prospects from LLM by research. People assume it's purely about people who want to go into academic research, and that's not the case, actually. You may wish to be a specialist in legal practice. You may work in public policy, or you may want to work in public policy. A lot of governmental departments look out for this qualification. International organizations do recognize this. NGOs are very keen on them too. Compliance and regulation, consultancy, because of course you're going to need to have independent thought and experience in conducting research-based projects. And increasingly, what we're seeing is industry are looking out for research within their own corporate structure. So, of course, if you want to go into an academic pathway, then an LLM by research is a beautiful stepping stone to lead you into our PhD, which is now what I'm going to talk about. A PhD is the highest academic qualification you can achieve, and it represents an opportunity to become a genuine expert in your chosen field. And of course, you can do this full-time over 3 years or part-time over 6 years. Now, you will undertake original research that contributes to new legal scholarship. And here at the University of Buckingham, our doctoral work addresses some of the most presenting of challenges to society. We look at regulation of artificial intelligence, sustainability, healthcare law, corporate governance is obviously key, access to justice, which Jessica also supervises, intellectual property law, and many other cutting areas of legal inquiry. But what makes our PhD programs particularly attractive here at the University of Buckingham is our approach to supervision. Because we're a small university, as we've said, our doctoral students receive exceptional levels of support and individual attention. They're not just left on their own in isolation to work. You become part of the academic community. You will have regular supervisory meetings with your supervisory team, not just one person, team. We will discuss your ideas and we will support you through every stage of your research journey. Our PhD students have a number of opportunities here at the University of Buckingham. First of all, we encourage and support our students to present at conferences. We support you in the publication of your work. We help develop your academic profile. And for those that are wishing to go into academia and work as a lecturer and a researcher in a higher education institute, we do offer some potential to do some teaching here at the university. So what we're trying to do is create a well-rounded candidate that leaves the university with academic excellence, but also the ability to cope and function in a real-world employment role. So often what I get asked is, well, what are the career prospects for a PhD? Because surely only people that do PhDs are lecturers, right? Wrong. So actually, it opens a number of doors, okay? And it's similar to the LLM by research, but on a much higher scale. So if you wanted to pursue a career in government and public policy, this is a key qualification. United Nations, international organizational roles will look for a PhD. Regulatory bodies want PhDs. Diplomacy and foreign affairs will look for a research-based degree. Legal consultancy, they want an expert. So of course the expert must have the highest qualification possible, a PhD. Senior leadership roles often look for research degrees to be able to prove that you can undertake independent roles and projects and produce those outcomes. And within the private sector, we're noticing now that organizations are placing significant value on those that can tackle complex problems and undertake high levels of research. So a PhD demonstrates that you can manage a large project, that you can think critically, and that you can analyze different issues and communicate sophisticated ideas. These skills are immensely valuable in today's world, and I highly encourage you to apply at the University of Buckingham and help us equip you with those skills. So given that time is a factor, I am going to pass you on to Jess.
Thank you, Kerry. Last but not least, I just want to take you through, give you a flavour, really. And you can see you've got some photos up on the screen, give you a flavour of what it's like to be part of the law school. We do really have so much going on outside of the programs and that we've discussed and outside the classroom. So as I said, we've got a wonderful dedicated clinical legal education manager, and she organises for, here you can see Casey's to come in to give us talks. We've got a Casey talk series for law firms to come in for law fairs, for our students to go into mentor, shadow, placement opportunities, work experience opportunities at law firms. You can see EMW Law here on the screen, which is one of the many law firms that we work together with. And in the center, you can see that we have had solicitors come in from the local community, come in and judge a client interviewing competition, which our students could participate in for fun, with the winners going on to represent the university at the national client interviewing competition. Lots to get involved with. To get you just a flavour of this, in the last academic year, which we have the full statistics for, we offered 181 clinical legal opportunities for students. And you can see here we have a really wide range of people in the legal sector who we work with, from big law firms, Dentons, Machins, EMW Law, Travers Smith, to some barristers, Chambers, Blackstone Chambers, King's Chambers. We've also got the Inner Temple, Lincoln's Inn, some of the Inns of Court, and others such as the Thames Valley Police, some of the courts. We offer shadowing opportunities where students can go and shadow judges. The one with Thames Valley Police, it was a project where some of our students helped with research on a special security project that the police were running here in the local area. So really a huge variety of opportunities for you to get involved with, and ever growing. So keep an eye out on our website for that. We put on a lot of events. So this is one fantastic example where we have a number of alumni of the University of the Law School who have gone on to qualify as judges and are currently High Court judges. And they're very fond of Buckingham, very fond of their time at Buckingham. As Kerry says, once you're a Buckingham graduate, we keep in contact with you throughout the course of your life. And so they're always very keen to come back and put on events and contribute to the continuing success of the law school. So here in the picture, we've got His Honour Judge Siddiqui, who is a graduate of Buckingham Law School and a High Court judge who came and judged a mock Crown Court trial. And you can see our students playing the roles of the witnesses, the advocates, the jury, the court clerk. It was a great deal of fun. And of course, a brilliant opportunity to network and to develop advocacy skills, which are tested at SQE2 or are relevant in any career that you choose to do. We also enter students, if you want to, for a really wide range of competitions. And really, because we're such a small law school and we're so responsive, we go very much with the student initiative. If there's something that you want to get involved in, we can help you make it happen, in essence. I think students are sometimes a little bit, it can be a bit scary to put yourself forward for some of these things, but we have a very supportive environment where you feel comfortable. The lecturers know you, see your abilities, and will often come and say to you, you should really go and consider doing this, and we'll support you all the way through. And students who thought that they were really scared of doing it, after they've done it, here we've got quotes from students. As the quote says, "I wish I'd come out of my comfort zones sooner." You develop so many skills by engaging in these competitions. We took, in the picture, you can see a picture of the Peace Palace. We took some students to The Hague to participate in an international mooting competition. Down at the bottom, there's a three-way negotiation that they're doing. Our team managed to come #1 in the regional rounds of the Centre for Effective Dispute Resolutions negotiation competition. And this is a picture where they were negotiating in a three-way negotiation at the national finals. And the others are various mooting competitions. So lots and lots to get involved with. We also are constantly, putting on events. One really fantastic example of this is that we hosted, the University of Buckingham had the great privilege to host Law Without Walls in 2025, which we had students and industry leaders and lawyers and businesses coming to the University of Buckingham from around the whole world for a sort of a long weekend, which was like a legal hackathon where people were divided into teams, where there was students coming together with partners from Dentons and leading business people from companies, such as Disney, for example, you can see here on the screen. And the companies brought to the event some real life business problems and legal problems for the team to solve and present. And you can see on the right that some of our students were a part of the winning team, and it really was a wonderful opportunity and experience for everyone involved. So there's always a lot going on and a lot for you to get involved with. Now I'm going to, the final leg of this presentation is that I'm going to hand back over to Kerry to cover some of the important details that questions that you might have about fees, scholarships, and how to apply.
Hello all. We've kept you hanging till the very end, of course, because this is what you want to know. How much is it going to cost? So let's spend a couple of moments discussing the cost of your degree and the financial support available to you. So at the University of Buckingham, we firmly believe that postgraduate education and research should be an investment in your future. And we work hard to ensure that our programs remain very compatible. And they're very accessible as well. As you can see from the slides here, that our LLM by research and PhD law programs are extremely competitively priced, and so are our taught LLMs. When you consider the level of personalized supervision and personalized teaching and the small supportive research community and the one-to-one access you will have to your lecturers, we believe that our rates are of exceptional value. Unlike larger institutions where research students and taught masters can sometimes feel like one of hundreds, here you will benefit from an environment where you are genuinely known and genuinely supported. So we are delighted to offer a range of scholarships and bursaries. Now, I can't go through every single one, so I've picked the key ones, and then if you look at the bottom of the slide, we've given you the links to all of the pages that contain our bursaries and scholarships. But of course, we take pride in academic excellence. So we have a postgraduate first class scholarship, which provides you with a 33% reduction in your fees for eligible UK and international postgraduate students who have achieved a first class undergraduate degree. Additionally, we have the £20,000 scholarship for outstanding full-time Arabic students, which again is linked at the bottom. Now, I would strongly encourage you to explore our full range of scholarships and bursaries and constantly review these pages, because we are always looking for opportunities to fund the future of our world, our legal system. Our links are regularly updated, so please do check them. Ultimately, please remember, though, that undertaking postgraduate education such as an LLM by research or a talk program or a PhD, this is an investment in your future. It's not just a qualification, but it's your future career. It's your expertise and it's to build your professional network. So we're going to be committed to ensuring that our talented students from all around the world have the opportunity to pursue their ambitions, and we will offer you the support that you need. So we're going to go on to the next steps of how to apply, and I'm going to pass you back to Jess.
Okay, so you can find all of the information on our website. There's a separate sort of page for each of the programs that we have discussed. So I'd encourage you to look at those links and you can see the full course specifications, all the modules, lots of extra information. And at the bottom of those course pages, there's the button where you can click to apply, and also the contact details for the admissions team, who would be really happy to answer any of your questions. If you want to drop a line to Kerry and myself, we always really welcome any queries, so please don't hesitate to do so. You can find all of our details and the staff contacts on our website at the School of Law as well. Generally speaking, we ask for a first or second class degree. Either a law degree or that you have some sort of relevant legal commercial experience or studies. If you don't have a first or second class degree, we may still consider your application if you can demonstrate some really good and relevant legal and commercial experience since your undergraduate degree. And we do have quite a lot of mature students coming to us after sort of quite a large period in employment, and of course we take that into consideration as well, the experience you've gained there too. But any questions, please contact our admissions team or reach out to us, and we would be really happy to answer them. I hope that's been enough information there to answer most of your questions, but we would be really happy to take any further questions.
Thank you, Jessica. Really appreciate it. At this stage, we would normally run through a full Q&A, but because of obviously the time differences, which is fine, it's been a really engaging session. And it's fantastic to see the students that were watching from the start were still watching at the end as well, which shows that students are really interested. And I think, like Kerry mentioned, it's what everyone hangs on to see is how much it's going to cost. So always the good thing. Now, from my perspective, I must point out what Kerry mentioned in terms of the rates and in terms of law providers. That is exceptional prices for what you receive and everything that we've just heard over the last hour and 10 minutes. That is very, very good value for your money compared to some of the other law establishments. And I don't want to go put them down, of course, but some of the other law establishments that we see and hear from, that's a very, very, very a strong price, and I'd strongly recommend it. So I will go through a few questions, if that's okay. I'll start with yourself, Jessica, and if it's Kerry, feel free to jump in. We heard one of the most popular aspects of the question has been around the SQE, around the intro of the SQE1. Can you just enlighten those students that aren't too familiar with what an SQE is quickly, just a very layman's term of what it is, because it's quite a new thing on the scene, isn't it, over the last few years? And I think there'll be a lot of students that would have heard of SQE, will now know of SQE, but won't be 100% sure if it's for them.
Absolutely. So whether or not it's for you is very simple. Do you want to qualify as a solicitor? If you want to qualify as a solicitor in England and Wales, you need to pass now SQE1 and SQE2. SQE stands for Solicitor's Qualification Examination, and you can think of it a little bit like we've all heard of the New York bar, that you've got to sit the New York bar if you want to qualify as an advocate there, an attorney there. It's sort of the same system here now. You have to pass these two exams to qualify as a solicitor. Now, it's in two parts. The first part is what I consider to be the difficult part, the challenging part. It tests your legal knowledge. and it tests your legal knowledge across a really broad range of subjects, which they divide into functioning legal knowledge 1 and functioning legal knowledge 2. But it goes beyond just testing legal knowledge. It also tests whether you know how to apply that knowledge to a real life client scenario. So it's not enough to just have memorized the textbook, which is why it's really important to give yourself enough time to think through all these concepts, understand all the principles, understand how they apply in different scenarios. And so that's the difficult part. The other part, SQE2, is testing your skills. And SQE1 is a multiple choice examination. You don't have very much time. You very, very quickly need to answer lots and lots of 360 multiple choice questions on a broad range of subjects. SQE2 is skills, and you've got lots of little exams in that which test your research skills, your analytical skills. Do you know how to analyze a case? Can you write up notes from a client interview? Can you analyze a negotiation scenario? So those are all things which naturally, if you are doing an LLM, if you are doing legal study, you will be developing those skills as you go along. When you go into the workplace, you will be developing those skills. And when it was first introduced, the Law Society actually envisaged that people would do SQ1. I recommend that you do SQ1 if you have done a law degree as quickly as possible after having done a law degree, because some of what you will have done in the law degree is tested on SQ1. So do it before you forget and before the law changes. But then take some time to further develop your skills, get some qualifying legal work experience, and then sit SQ2 when you're ready. There's absolutely no rush to take that.
Excellent points. One of the key themes again I've seen from this, and it must be difficult at this stage because obviously we're covering such a broad amount there in the presentation, whether it be postgraduate, whether it be PhD, whether it be an SQE, whatever it might be. So there will be many students that are watching that have done their masters, they've done it in law, and they're still not 100% sure what they want to specialize in. Someone asked earlier in the chat, I think it was sport, someone asked about, I want to go down the sport route. I want to perhaps go down, agriculture. I want to go international relations law, something like that. Is it imperative they make that choice pre-masters level, or do they do their masters and then go, right, I need to perhaps do a PhD in X, Y, or Z? At what stage should they be thinking about that?
I can start to answer, and perhaps Kerry might jump in with some thoughts on that as well. So in terms of specializing in on our taught programs, you saw that there's sort of a range of specializations that we offer. What we do is that in the first week of our programs, we invite students to come into all of our classes across all of our subjects so that you can get a flavor for all the different subjects. And only then do we ask you to specialize in a certain area. At that point, if you are doing sort of, for example, if you're doing the LLM with SQE, and really your goal is to go into a law firm, I think students at that point, what they tend to do is to focus on specializing in an area that will be useful for them as they go into employment. So corporate law, for example, or financial services law are really popular options that we offer because there's a lot of jobs in that area, which doesn't mean that you can't then later go on to specialize in another area, but it's a really good first stepping stone. It gives you that confidence entering the legal profession. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Kerry, do you want to elaborate further on that? Because likewise, there might be some students that go, crikey, I didn't realize A, how hard this would be, or B, if this is the route I want to go down. If that does happen, is there an opportunity for a student to go, can I look at tweaking this or changing it? Or any feedback on that?
So research is a journey. Okay, and no research student starts on day one and finishes with the project that they initially thought they were going to embark on. Because the more knowledge you obtain, the more you read, the influences within recent judgments will change your mindset on certain things. I mean, I've started off papers with the initial idea of X, and I've actually finished disagreeing with that prospect, and now I agree with the why camp in that sense. So I expect students to change their minds and opinions. That's how you grow as a researcher. One of my professors, he actually disagrees with his own PhD now. So you will always grow, you will always change, and your supervisors are there to help you flourish in that way and grow as a researcher. And just like Jess said, just because you have a PhD in one particular field doesn't mean you can't grow. So, for instance, take myself as an example. My background is commercial. I have an LLM in international business law. My PhD is in international corporate insolvency law. And in the wake of the COVID pandemic, I became fascinated with healthcare law and regulation. And I started to dip my toes into that area. And now I straddle both areas of international insolvency law and medical law and ethics. And my current PhD student is looking at the international regulation of AI in regards to medical care. So again, you will always grow, and there's always opportunity to develop further and experience new areas of law.
Yeah, and obviously people's motives and interests change depending on their circumstances and age. I think you mentioned earlier, Jess, didn't you, about there will be mature students here that will have families perhaps and will have different ideas of what they find interesting as a stereotypical, young lady in her mid-20s, let's say. So I think that's a really good point, Kerry. And also Kerry made a good point earlier on by saying she never expected to never leave the university, and here she still is. So I think that's a really lovely way to kind of look back on that. But we are going to wrap things up. I really appreciate both your time and to Rosie in the background as well. If anyone does have any questions today, whether it be live or on demand, please see on the screen right now the different social tags that you can reach out to them. But also as well, like Jess mentioned earlier, please reach out to Jess and to Kerry. They're not the biggest at university deliberately, and they'd be more than happy to communicate with you. And communication is key, no whether that's to do your application or you're just not sure on something or the education, please reach out to them because as you can see, they're a lovely bunch. So thank you for your time and we look forward to hearing from you. And if you would like a certificate of attendance today, please email webinars@postgradsolutions.com. But for now, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.